Am I wrong for taking the wrong kitten on purpose? I, 31 female, recently went and got a kitten with my husband, 32 male. The seller had 5 identical black kittens, and despite wanting a girl one, they only had a boy one left. 3 girls, 2 boys, ready to collect in 2 weeks. Because it's so hard to purchase cats these days, I decided to settle with the boy and gave a deposit for him. The seller called a week ago saying the cat was available to collect, and when we arrived, all 5 kittens were still there. The seller looked at the genders and handed me a boy, then left the room to go grab some cat food she was going to give us. While she was gone, I got the idea to switch the boy cat with one of the girls, so my husband quickly found a girl one. We put her in the carrier and put the boy back with the rest, and when the seller came back with the food, she didn't realize they were switched. We took the kitten and the food and left without her knowing what we did and left to go back home. A couple of hours later, I got a call from her asking if she gave me a girl cat by mistake. I lied and pretended to check and said he was definitely a boy, and she apologized saying she must have got the genders wrong and told me the buyer wanting a girl was refusing to have the boy cat. I told her I was sorry that happened and reassured her it was an easy mistake to make. I casually mentioned what we did to a coworker last night, telling her I managed to get a girl after switching them, and she wasn't impressed. She said that I shouldn't have switched them and that it was wrong to mess with the seller and buyer like that because I made someone wait 2 weeks for nothing and I made the seller struggle selling it. I told her it was no big deal because the person who wanted the girl cat could look elsewhere and this way the boy cat can go to a loving home. She still wasn't happy with me, so I told her gender doesn't matter for a cat and that sometimes you have to look out for yourself in life. Today I came home to the office and everyone was acting differently around me, being cold and trying to spend as little time around me as possible. I overheard someone telling a coworker what I did and they seemed really disgusted with me, but I don't understand how doing something so insignificant has made everyone so angry. This woman is beyond how do you not understand? You just said gender doesn't matter. You just said it shouldn't matter. Why did you care so much? You stole, that's theft. I don't know why you thought anyone would be like, oh yeah, good job. No one would ever think that way. I asked my husband if he felt guilty for doing it, and he reassured me that I shouldn't feel bad about it. I looked on the seller's profile and saw that the boy cat had been purchased, so she didn't struggle to sell him. I do feel a bit guilty for switching the cats, and everyone at work seems to be pretty irritated with me, so I feel like maybe I was wrong and I shouldn't have switched them. Am I the asshole for switching the cats on purpose? Am I wrong for serving my husband's family mac and cheese for dinner? My husband, Asian, and I, American, welcomed our firstborn 4 weeks ago. The baby is healthy, thank God, but I'm exhausted. I haven't fixed my hair, barely able to shower, and cannot sleep. My husband's family had been pressuring us to visit to meet the baby. I tried to hold them off as much as I could, but yesterday I was surprised to find them standing on the porch. Turns out hubby invited them for dinner. I was embarrassed and felt like I wasn't ready for visitors, judgmental ones at that, because the house was a mess. Anyways, my husband sat with them while I fed my son, and then later I asked my husband if we could order some takeout for dinner. He said no, because his parents would find this rude and unwelcoming. He suggested that I go inside the kitchen and prepare something, anything as long as it's homemade. I said fine, then went and made some mac and cheese. The reason I prepared this meal is because of how easy it is. Hold on. You had your baby 4 weeks ago, so about a month postpartum, and they're expecting you to serve them dinner. Usually, in my culture, when someone has a baby, right, and you go to see them, you bring them food. I've never come to someone's house who had a child empty-handed. My mom, whenever my sister had a baby or my sister-in-law, my mom would send me pots and pots of food, hey, bring this to them. In the hospital, at their house, everything. And it's hey, for us, it's a 40-day rule. You don't bother them for the first 40 days. Let them live, let alone expect them to make you a dinner. Shame on you, husband, too. If you knew your parents were coming and you knew they wanted food, you should have either cooked or ordered out. No one should have that expectation of you to cook as a new mom. Once I served the family, my husband's mom looked at me and was appalled. I noticed something was wrong. She asked if I really found it appropriate to serve her and the family mac and cheese. I asked why not, and she went on a rant about how disrespectful this was and that I clearly have no experience in what is right and wrong when it comes to hosting. Ma'am, you shouldn't be hosting when you had a baby. I think the big problem with these older generations is they're I did this. Why can't you? And I'm you're a victim. You shouldn't have had to have done this. You shouldn't have been out of your room when you had a baby, let alone cooking food. You shouldn't be proud of this. You were abused. I said, excuse me? Who said I signed up to host an unexpected visit from them, and she took it as if I didn't want them there. Her husband said they were just there to finally see the baby that I kept them from seeing for an entire month. That's a whole month of life they missed out on. We had an argument and they decided to go home. My husband said that deciding to serve his family mac and cheese was more offensive than serving them nothing at all. I told him that I was too exhausted to cook their traditional feasts that I was forced to learn from his mom. He took offense and said that I was being mean and disrespectful towards not only his family but his culture. I went inside the bedroom to stay with my son. My husband stayed on the phone with his family for an hour, then kept giving me the cold shoulder and refused to eat what I cook in support of his family. I understand how some guests might find it offensive, especially his family, but I was just trying to make a quick homemade meal like my husband wanted. What's wrong with mac and cheese? Honestly, I don't think it's a culture thing. I just think your in-laws are assholes. And your husband. Simple as that.
Am I the asshole for refusing to let my wife wake up our daughter to see a bear? My wife and kids, 12 female, 10 female, 8 male, 6 male, 4 male, and I just spent 3 weeks at our cabin while we got some repairs done on our house. Our 10-year-old, Rose, has leukemia. A lot of the activities around the cabin are outdoors, and Rose doesn't usually have the energy for that. So one of her favorite activities has been watching the wildlife from this big window seat in the master bedroom and taking pictures of what she sees. Her goal since she started doing this was to see a bear. There are some in the area, but it's not too common to see one. She has me take her up to the window seat after dinner and usually falls asleep watching for bears. Towards the end of the 3 weeks, I had to take her to the hospital for chemo, 3.5 hours each way. That night, she fell asleep in the window seat again, and when I got up to carry her to bed, there were 2 bears close to our cabin. I called my wife over to see, and I took a picture on Rose's iPad, but my wife wanted to wake Rose up so she could see. She hasn't gotten to see a bear this trip. I told my wife she needs to rest, and that showing her the picture would be enough, but my wife still tried to wake her up. I stopped her again and got Rose in bed. The next morning, I told Rose that there were bears last night, and I showed her the picture. She asked if I woke her up. I said yes, because I didn't want her to get upset, but my wife told Rose that I wouldn't let anybody wake her up. We did not see any more bears for the rest of the trip, and Rose has been devastated. She refuses to speak to me and deleted the pictures I took for her because apparently it doesn't count. She's even refusing to sleep next to me. She's been sleeping between me and my wife since she got sick. So my wife has had to sleep in Rose's room since the trip. My wife is even talking about taking Rose back to the cabin for a week to try and see a bear. I don't think it's a big deal, but my wife and Rose are still upset with me, so I wanted to know if I was the asshole.
I mean, he was trying to do the right thing.
Am I wrong for lying to my family for 2 years that my house purchase deal fell through? A few years ago, my husband and I told our relatives that we wanted to buy a country house by the lake. In our country, almost everyone lives in apartments, so our families were very happy. So much so that my mother immediately decided she wanted to arrange a vegetable garden in the yard of this house. And my husband's sister said it would be a great place where she could take her children for the summer. And my sister started fantasizing about family picnics. Then my husband's brother joked it would be a great place to get drunk on weekends. We were both terrified because we don't want any of this. We just wanted a place where we could feel truly at home, where we can rest. Also, where we can arrange everything to our taste and where there will be peace and quiet and not family squabbles. Just a nice, peaceful environment where we can raise our future children. So in the end, we decided to tell them the deal fell through and there would be no house. Am I wrong for lying to my family for 2 years that my house purchase deal fell through? We decided to say that the deal fell through and there was no house. After all, it's not even their business. We were the only ones buying the house and it has nothing to do with them. We only told the truth to our best friends whom we were sure would not spoil anything. The house is really beautiful and my friends and I often go there on weekends. Well, 2 years have passed and my sister found out about the house by accident because one of my friends posted a photo from there. Now our families are furious and calling us greedy. Many of the relatives don't want to talk to us until we give them our address. And my mom even asked me for spare keys. This is exactly the type of situation that we tried hard to avoid. I don't think we're wrong, but my husband's starting to hesitate about what we should have done. So any outside advice can definitely help us. That's actually insane. I'll forgive you, but like, give me your keys. Crazy. Am I wrong for picking my college friend's wedding over my childhood friend's wedding? So I am a bridesmaid for two weddings. One is local in Dallas, Texas, and the other is a destination wedding in Miami, Florida, and they're both on the same day. Just to simplify things, I'm gonna call the girls Dallas and Miami. Dallas is a childhood friend. We were also college roommates for a year, but we don't see each other as often, but when we do, it's just like old times. So many memories. And Dallas is also one of the sweetest people in my life. Then there's Miami, who is a college friend from a different friend group than Dallas. We grew closer after college, and Miami actually plans my birthday every year. Our friend group is 6 girls, and we're super close. Like all girl friend groups, there is drama, but we always remain friends and hang out all the time. And all the girlfriends from college are also bridesmaids for Miami. And my husband is friends with their boyfriends and husbands, so he prefers this wedding by a mile. Am I wrong for picking my college friend's wedding over my childhood friend's wedding? Again, Miami is my college friend and Dallas is my childhood friend. Miami told me her wedding date first at a group dinner, but did not put a deposit. And when I told Dallas the next day, she told me she was planning for the same day. There isn't much overlap in the wedding as far as mutual friends. However, me and another girl are bridesmaids for both. Dallas then tried to pick the week before Miami's wedding, but it ended up getting booked. Dallas then put the deposit first, and my other friend immediately said she's going to Miami's wedding because they are childhood friends. So Dallas was hoping I go to her wedding because my other friend already picked Miami's wedding. Also, since Dallas and I are childhood friends. I told her on the phone that it wasn't easy, but I had to go to Miami's wedding because she did ask me first. Now Dallas is furious to the point where she doesn't want to be friends anymore. She says that she put the deposit first, so Miami should change her wedding date. Am I wrong?